Hello, everyone who joined this webinar. Please let me know if everybody hears me. If you have some technical issues, you can always write in the chat, and hope everything will be okay. Okay. So shall we start? Also, please let me know if everybody can see my screen and if you see all the slides going. So let me know if you are facing any of the technical issues, okay? Okay, so thank you for joining today. I hope that it will be an interesting day for you to know, and you will know something new regarding the programmatic. First, of course, I will introduce, because I believe there are some participants who already know, who already seen me in real life when I was visiting India and other countries. I believe today we may have not only the participants from the Indian agencies, but from other countries as well. So it's very nice that everybody have joined. And well, we have been working, Eskimi has been working in this market for a couple of years already, and has been seeing how the programmatic business is expanding. So very nice to see this part. And as recently, well, everybody are stuck at home because of this lockdown situations all over the world. So we have lots of the time when we can learn something and go deeper into some technologies maybe. So programmatic is the topic here today that we have, and this will be just a basic covering the basic topics. So if somebody already in the advanced level, I encourage you to stay till the end. We'll go through the platform, how it works and how it should be used. Also at the end, we will be having exam. So I'm always suggesting to take this exam, check your knowledge, gain a certificate proving that, and then join the next level certification, when we will be going much deeper into programmatic, how to set up the campaigns, how to stand those businesses, and how to rock programmatic business, literally. Okay. So here on the chat, you can always wave your hand if you have any questions. So please let me know anytime you have any questions, or just write into the chat. Okay. So let's have it as a not only a monologue from my side, because well, somebody already know that I could be talking for hours, so please participate as well. And stay till the end of the webinar, and you'll see what kind of special information I have today for the programmatic from the Eskimi. Okay, so let's start. Yeah, so as you may know, Eskimi has been in this business for some time, and we have a very special team who is always ready to support you, from the account managers to ad ops team members, and we have the energy to drive the technologies to make it more adaptive, more flexible, and you know, you can't stop changing and adapting in the nowadays business. Well, we have lots of examples in the nowadays. Yeah. So Eskimi is a full stack programmatic platform. So that's why we'll be covering the programmatic parts today. Okay, so some of you already may know that DSP is not only our business. So we grew up from different industries, from social network, vast platform, and so on. And we have been growing across multiple markets. So we expanded a lot. I believe from the last year numbers, we have been operating in 130 markets already, based on our ad ops operations. So there's never ending learning, developing process regarding the data, regarding the needs of the business and the industries. Okay. So just basically a basic covering what is programmatic and some points which I want to cover and highlight after I talking with the agencies, with the brands, and how do they use programmatic in their digital campaigns. We all know that there's lots of the digital channels that could be used, and depending on what is the goal of the campaigns, how the brand is communicating, there are lots of the channels that could be useful. Unfortunately, programmatic is part on the small business, and usually the brands are spending most on the search, like SEO, and like the biggest spends goes on the digital part to Facebook, YouTube, those kind of channels, as they seem to be most popular ones. But my message here would be always talk about having the strategy and including all the digital channels. Of course, the programmatic can't be the like a golden key for all questions, for all campaigns, but it should be part of the whole strategy, because depending on what is what is the part of the funnel of user decision we are at, different channels has to be used accordingly. So I believe you know this part very well. I just wanted to highlight that always please talk with your clients and talk about making the strategy of full channels. And this will help you to build a sustainable and successful strategy. Okay. I see there are some a question right now. John Matthew, programmatic advertising, which platform is it used from? Can you just, let us know what exactly do you mean? Okay, so please expand your question and then I will answer slightly later. Let's move on. So if there are, I believe there are some of the agencies who have joined this webinar who is just starting to use programmatic platforms. So therefore I wanted just to clarify in which path, which part of the whole flow we can see a scheme is working at. So of course, we have the advertiser side where we have lots of the brands, lots of the demands, how they want to reach their users with particular promotions. And of course, the biggest part of the programmatic is the audience and all the data who comes through lots of the publishers into the systems like SSPs, exchanges, and then to DMPs and DSPs to be used properly. So Ashkimi is covering DSP, DMP part as well as SSP, and I will explain you more detail the importance points here. Okay, so we're talking about the full stack solution, which has the supply side, data side, and the ad server built in for the rich media creatives. And we have some unique features that was developed by our team, like telco dashboard, which I'll show, which will be showed at the end of this presentation lively on the platform. Of course, real-time reporting, even the single view option for social campaigns, all of that is available. So let me tell you why it is important to consider programmatic media buying and the advantages here. Because when we compare programmatic media buying and direct buying, the first big difference there is that we are focusing on the users instead of just targeting the publishers. Because when you target the publishers, you assume that that the relevant to the brand audience will be on that particular publisher. But well, just consider yourself on a daily basis. How many apps and websites do you use on a daily basis? How many apps apart from Facebook and YouTube do you have on your app, and so on? So there's lots of the ways how we can still reach our users, not only through the top ones. So literally it's a missing path. So in this way, the programmatic helps to expand the channels, reaching the desired audiences. Okay, so the biggest difference when we compare direct buying and the programmatic is the logic. We focus on the audience with the programmatic, and with the publishers, basically on the impressions that is been served on the particular publisher. Okay, so the other part, which is very important, is transparency. When we connect on the digital channels, there are lots of the tools how we can transparently track what is happening. Comparing to direct buying, we can always track which of the users coming to the website, how many of the impressions actually was served, and lots of the other parts. So transparency in nowadays digital marketing world is super essential. That's why real-time dashboard is essential for the daily planning and tracking of the all the campaign KPIs. So the other part, of course, is price. In order to reach your goals and with the lowest prices as always. This is so important. I will explain that slightly later. Of course, the programmatic is the best tool when you want to have maximum reach of the audience for your awareness campaigns. And in that point, it is important to have a good enriched database, so DMP part, where you have lots of the data about your users, the profiled them, and then you can have more adaptive content based on what the audience are you targeting at, and at the same time it is important that database would be sufficient enough for the whole market. I will share the details also slightly later. And also at the end we have the anti-fraud tools, because we must be sure that the money we spend online are not being used by bots or any other tool. Also brand safety features are important to be considered, because especially nowadays, it is important to track all the brand guidelines and make sure that the content appears, that the banners appears in the proper content. And of course, nice, cool creatives is also essential to track user attention. Okay, so talking about the reach. It is important every time to choose the platform, the DSP, who has lots of the exchanges connected. So, of course, the example from Eskimi is we have approximately 45 exchanges connected on our DSP side. So GDN, Mopap, Smarter, Rubicon, and lots of the others, even the Unity is being connected, and it's never ending list. It's always being updated depending on each market demands, on new exchanges with a better inventory appearing on the market and so on. So the important part of having the platform who support lots of the exchanges is not only for reaching, but also collecting sufficient amount of the information about the users. When you store, analyze the data, and then based on that, you can plan your audience profiles and reach the most relevant for you audiences. Okay, so next part is, as I have mentioned, that platforms who has capability to work with the socials, it's also essential to control all the digital channels through one platform. So yeah, Eskimi also has that part. We have Facebook, YouTube, and AdWords integration. So this means that all of the campaigns could be launched, controlled, and all the reporting comes back into one dashboard, one real-time dashboard. Okay. And as I have mentioned, we have SSP, which helps when we have a desire to integrate with the local publishers and transform direct buying into more digital way, and of course increase the transparency, use anti-fraud data features for all of those direct media buying from the publishers. And also, well, we can talk about more detail. We even have created unique creative sets for SSP connections as well. Okay, I already have mentioned the price optimization. It is important. Why the platforms like Eskimi Programmatic works regarding the price optimization very well, because of lots of the suppliers, and then the system is capable to identify which of the channel that your audiences, your users are using now, and through which it is easier, cheaper to reach them. So literally the system learns step by step by each transaction. The algorithms like artificial intelligence algorithm and machine learning is doing a really great job optimizing the campaigns, of course, together with the most experienced ad hoc team members. So the system can reduce the cost very well, and there are lots of the ways how we can optimize the campaigns in order to reduce our costs for programmatic. So no, programmatic is not more expensive than the other tools. Of course, it depends on the type of the needs. The pricing for those campaigns varies, but it's all about reaching the right audience with the right channels, and of course at the right time at the lowest possible pricing. Okay, let us check if we have any questions appeared. Okay, no more questions. Okay, so it is always, as I said, important to have a platform who has worldwide coverage, and well, I'm happy to share that for Southeast Asia regions, we have our DMP filled with lots of their profiled users. So now most of our participants in the today webinar, we have, I believe, from India. I think we have somebody from Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and probably from Cambodia as well. So you may see that, yeah, in India we have 400 million profiled IDs in our DMP. So this means that all of those users has their information about what do they like, what interests, and lots of the other data points about them. So you could plan your campaigns according to the data right away. Okay, so talking about the DMP part and why it is essential. First of all, when we talk about the programmatic, I always receive the question, okay, so you have my email, you have my phone. No, we don't have that part. It's always all about that data that comes from the exchanges, from the tags, and all that publishers are providing. Okay, I see there's another question. What are the core values we can get from programmatic platforms which Google Ad Platform fails to provide? Well, you know, it depends on what kind of campaigns and we're actually talking about. The Google Ad platforms, you remember I said that the Scheme has part of the Google inventory as well. So if you're talking about that, like GDN network, double click, so we have that inventory included. So from that, from that part, the answer would be it is more than Google Ad can have. Of course, if we consider like DV360 trading desk and then a Scheme, there are lots of the common features for all of the platforms. Of course, each of those platforms has specific features. So we don't have much of the time here, but I will try to go through all of those features and compare with other platforms. And also, Ahmed Isharak, please contact me so we could go more detail during another webinar or call and compare the other platforms. So I will try to answer, but for more detail, let's have a separate one. We don't have much of the time. We still have to see the platform. Okay. Okay, coming back to the data which is being collected. So different sources has different data which comes into one place. So Scheme has our own DMP. So this means that when I mentioned that it is a full stack DSP and DMP platform, so this means the DMP is included. So you don't have to pay extra for onboarding any of the Latami, Adobe, or any other third-party platform with the data. And of course, the user information matching, then there's another question how to use different platforms when it's not all built into one. Okay, and the other part, answering the same question, the difference is that we own the data that is being stored, so we have an options to analyze it and deliver you more advanced targeting features. One of that actually is social economical class that we have built, which combines lots of the data and can identify user purchase power quite precisely. So it helps you to plan all the campaigns when you want to identify like premium segment of the audience. And you know, this is identification of the audience purchase power without getting their private information. So literally without getting information about their salary and so on, you still can identify this audience segment. Okay, so I would like to share our point of view, how we also see the data in the nowadays programmatic business. We try to talk more about the build your audience by lots of the data point, understand that in a much wider perspective, because it's already an old school method, if I may say, to target users by just gender, just age gap, and location, and that's it. Try considering all the time more features, more data about your users, because it helps to really identify the ones who is could be interested in your particular brand, products or services. Okay, so with that part, the DMP is essential to have collecting lots of the data sources. Okay, and then you can analyze that and even identify specific parts which could not be identified otherwise. For example, like geofencing. Target geofence the hospital, and everybody who visits the hospitals probably will be most relevant for health insurance clients. Yeah. And just, one of the examples, there are lots of them depending on the industry and the brand. Always contact us. We'll try to figure out which of the targeting method and which of the data set could be most helpful of identifying your audience profiles. Okay, so always consider about your audience in a slightly wider way. So because there's lots of the data that are available, not only gender, age, city, and demographic. Okay, so comparing with other platforms, of course, Skimmy has that basic stack like demographic, location, age targeting, interest targetings as well, of course, placement, exchange, app site position targeting. All of that is available depending on what are the needs. But I would like to highlight that on top of those traditional targetings, we have all the tech-related targetings as well. And I will show you in a more detail the exclusive parts that actually we have and why it is useful for all kind of businesses, not only for telco or device manufacturers. So from the behavioral part, of course, that's, which I already have mentioned, there is like social economical class, geofence, and I will explain you why it is different. And also intent-based audience, which could be identified by what kind of products now they are searching with app site retargeting and all of that. Okay, so geofence. You may think that is already familiar. The slight difference from other platforms that Skimmy has a precise targeting based on the coordinates. So depending on what is the place shape, as you may see in the screenshot, Sydney Airport, different kind of shapes could be selected, even up to building size. If you desire to collect users or target the users at the real time in the very niche locations. So depending on campaign types and the industry, there are lots of the variations how we can use this targeting, I say, method. We can target, okay, so for example, there's one campaign that that we had in Indonesia for Burger King when we needed okay, Mr. Brown, I see your question. Can we get a trial version? Definitely, you can have that. Please contact me after the webinar. We'll share my contacts as well. So everybody who is ready to start looking at the campaign, feel free to send me, and we'll share the slides as well after the after the webinar. Yes. Okay, so if we started with the question, finally they appeared. So is there minimal budget for running campaigns? Technically, there is no budget, a minimal budget, but of course there are some recommendations who can come from our side in order to reach your results. So we have a self-service version and a managed service version. So depending on which is needed, we can help you with your campaigns, or you can do that by yourself. So no minimal budget on a self-service version. Just, if you need our support, you can always ask us for any of the suggestions and recommendations how to properly set up and start getting good results right away. Okay. Okay. So let's come back to the hyperlocation and that example which I wanted to share, how we can use geofence. Okay, so we had a campaign until the COVID situation, so targeting all the Burger King restaurants, McDonald's, and all the fast food restaurants in Indonesia. And when the users were in that particular location, so this means that when they were ordering the food in that particular location, so this is time-based, time and coordinate-based targeting, real-time one. And the other part is when we collect audience who visited that particular location and then do retargeting afterwards. And depending on what is the need, we can even change this method and adapt for the footfall tracking. So with that example, I can say that there was a very interesting case and successful case study that I could share with you later, when we were tracking, showing the ads for those particular restaurants and then calculating how many of those have physically, like McDonald's lovers and who saw the ads physically came to Burger King restaurants. So literally tracking online to offline attribution as well. So as I said, the geofence method is just a method how we can use that, identifying specific audiences and so on. The other example, like if we want to identify if the user has a car, not like interested in car, browsing about that. Of course, this is the standard way how now we usually do that. But with the geofence, we can always geofence all the petrol stations and collect the users who visit those stations. So if you are at the gas station, so probably you should have a car. Yeah, so this is just a short example how it could be adapted. So it just, it's a matter of your creativity, how to adapt to your particular brand campaigns. Okay, so I already have mentioned that it's important to have a transparency in the tool that you're using. So real-time data is essential because you have to react fast, see the numbers in the real time. So of course, all the platforms must provide the clear view to all the reportings and all the campaign analytics directly. And as well, also it is essential to have in-depth analytics on all the data, so the campaign would not become just based on assumptions, but it should be based on the data. Okay, so I will show you all the reportings lively on the platform. So what I can share that, well, nowadays digital business is all about the data, and analyzing that, creating unique data overviews and insights. It is essential to see how effective your campaign are. Like literally, you want to track how money you put into digital advertising, and then how effective it is at the end. It's not always easy to track when we are like just doing conversion campaigns and that's it, and then we have the conversion price but I'm talking about much wider way when we want to understand the market, not only by the statistics, but also by the real data that could be activated through the same channels. So that the important part here is not only seeing the data in some of the reportings, but also being capable to directly reach those numbers of the audiences that you may see in the dashboards. Okay. So the other part, of course, is super essential, especially in the crisis like COVID and anytime, is the brand safety and anti-fraud. So always check what kind of technologies does your partner using. When we talk about the scheme, we have internal tools, we have multiple layer of anti-fraud systems and brand safety ways how we can choose only the best traffic, the publishers that you can reach, that is allowed by the brand guidelines and so on. Of course, all the third-party tools could be used as an integral advertisable verify or anything that is trusted to prove the results there. So when we choose the platforms, always taking into consider how safe it is, how well known it is for its brand safety and anti-fraud part. Okay, and the nice part is, I would say that always you should, as I mentioned, consider your audience data, but also always invest in the creatives, because the more you consider your creatives are essential for your campaigns, the best results you will get. Of course, the platforms who has lots of the variations because of the publisher side, there are lots of the creative types that could be used. So of course, Eskimi has that as well. And Eskimi has an ad server built in. So you remember we have the DSP, DMP, and the ad server, which is built into one platform. So literally, it means you don't have to pay extra. When you use other platforms, you have to use additional ad server to for like rich media, dynamic kind of campaigns, and so on. Okay, so with the scheme, we have variety of the creatives from the standard ones, displays, native videos, but also we have animated, interactive, and data-driven. And I will show you some of the examples. Just want to highlight that there are some templates which you can create directly on the platform, and we have a support team who can always develop creatives for you based on your custom request. Okay, so let me show you some examples of the data-driven creatives. The data-driven means that there is an integration done with the third-party information, like you can see the Robbie banner of the Cricket Championship, when the real-time scoreboard is integrated. So whenever the score changes, everywhere where the banner is served, the information is changing as well. The same was with the Vaseline. It was a super popular campaign of Unilever when they integrated the banners with the weather forecast, and the message changed depending on what is the weather condition outside. And there are lots of the ways how we can use that. I believe in India we had one of the integration done with the pollution rate. We can do any kind of integration with TV schedules, countdowns, all of that way. So feel free to contact us for more creative ideas, so we could make those creatives more attractive to your users so they would engage more. And talking about the creative, it is of course essential to make them the path of user making the decision as convenient for them as possible. So for that purpose, we also have a click to action type of the creatives, when the users can be transport directly to particular action to be just finished in a couple of the clicks. Just like click to call. So from the banner, user goes directly into the call. So just click the button and talk with a guy on or girl on the other line. Click to SMS, click to SSD order the data pack, or whenever it is required. The other parts, which I already have slightly mentioned to you, rich media and the templates. I will show you one of the template demo directly on the platform. So there are already built in like a standard ones most commonly used, which could be used right away. So you can have your creative prepared like in a seconds, in a minute, directly on the platform. So after I share this presentation, feel free to check all the links that are attached here and check the gallery for more ideas of the rich medias. So here's the main gallery link, business.eskimi.com/ads. So feel free to go there anytime. Try checking that on your mobile as well, or desktop, and even you can show to your clients, play around with those ads and try to figure out how can you implement some ideas into your campaigns. Okay, so let me go. Do you have any questions for now? Or we should go to the platform demo. Okay, I see no questions appearing. So I believe then we are moving straight to the platform. Okay, everybody sees my screen. Yes, Mr. Brown, I see a question. How shall we learn professional and to get certification? So yes, so today we're covering the basic part, showing how the platform works. And then, as I said, Eskimi has a Eskimi certification part, and I hope that you will try to finish that certificate right after. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so here, this is how a Eskimi platform looks like. Of course, there's a very similar user interface you might find in other platforms. Depending on the needs, we can arrange dedicated training sessions with our AdOps team members who will take you through all the details, all the questions that you also have. So here on the moment that you log into your platform, you have your own budget, your own dashboard. It is a real-time dashboard for all your campaigns that you run. You can see the basic overview with all the KPIs in the main window. You can always track which of the ad is performing best and the worst, and always make your actions based on that information. You remember I mentioned that there could be AdWords, YouTube, and Facebook campaigns. So all of that could be visible into one place. And also all basic information, as you may probably already seen in other platforms, and relevant information for that. Let's move straight into next. Okay. I see that somebody's raising their hand. Mr. Brown, do you have some questions? Hello.
Mr. Brown, if you have a question, you have now the ability to talk. Your microphone is on.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It is so we can see the directly monitoring to the dashboard, right?
Yeah.
When we run the campaign to every platform, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I saw some question before. So which is the minimum budget and something like minimum budget? Yeah, to run the two different part of the platform. So different platform has a different policy, right? So how could we manage the minimum budget in here?
Mm-hmm. So as I mentioned, that we don't have a minimal budget in order to start using the platform, we may recommend like to keep a certain daily budget in order to deliver results. So that's why I'm saying, you know, from the technological perspective, there is no minimal budget requirement. But from the business perspective, we may always recommend you to keep it in order to keep the balance and keep getting a good result. We may share with you our recommendations. But on the self-service way, you can run the campaign with $100 budget, depending on what you need.
Oh, thank you. So another question is, how can we manage the SKME to different part of the policy of the platform? You know, Facebook has a Facebook policy, and also Instagram has some other policy. So how do we manage two different type of platform?
Depends on what kind of policy features do you have in mind.
Yes.
But the policy features, like what do you have in mind? You mean the content related?
Yes, content and basically content and the picture.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
yes.
of course, we follow because we're integrated with those systems. So we follow all of those like Facebook, YouTube, AdWords, and all the exchanges policies. So this means that no porno or any of those kind of inappropriate adult content, all of that is not available to be done through the platform. We are talking about the good traffic, good providers. And of course, we have our AdOps team members who is making sure before they approve their campaigns, before they let, because, you know, our reputation is on the table as well. So every time there, we have to check if the content is proper and following all the guidelines for all the exchanges, like as you mentioned, Facebook, YouTube, AdWords policies as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, the one more question. The next question is, how can we know the audience interest? Basically, how can we know the audience interest in here?
What do you like, just calculate when you plan campaign what will be based on the interest, the audience sizes?
Yeah.
Okay, I will show that part directly on the platform, how you do that. So whenever you create, let's go back to the platform if you don't have any more questions, and I will show that in a minute.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that okay?
Yes, okay.
Okay, maybe anybody else has more questions? Please just raise your hand, so it won't be such monologue, and we would have a discussion. Okay, so if there's no questions, let's go back to the platform. Okay, so here's the overview part, and the next part, which John Matthews asking, programmatic ads are used on those websites who do not partner with Google. Google has their also programmatic inventory. So as I mentioned, we also have that inventory integrated with other platform as well. So depending on websites, how they monetize the inventory, to which exchange they have connected. So it could be Rubicon Smart or DoubleClick, any kind of those, or Mopub for app inventory. So depending on that, different exchanges could be used. So that's why when I mentioned that it is important to have the DSP, which has lots of the exchanges connected to have a large variety of the options to choose. So then it depends. I hope that I have answered your question. Please write down if you have more. Okay. So the platform, as I mentioned, we have self-service and the managed service, two options. You can always ask our team to help you with the campaign supporting and optimizing, setting of the campaigns. Literally, we can be your outsourced partner for programmatic media buying campaigns. All the time, you'll still be using the same platform, same real-time dashboard, tracking all the actions there. But you can also start using the same platform, same login right away and launching your own campaigns. So it is very easy. You can always add your budgets with a PayPal credit card and so on. For India, we have our local entities, so there's local bank transfers available as well. The other part is also you can always, for the different kind of campaigns, we may need the tracking pixels. It could be also seen directly here, and depending on what the pixel is needed for, campaign conversion tracking, or even the audience from the website for retargeting campaigns, it also could be done. And or the audience, for example, if you want to run a campaign who retargets all your users who comes to particular website or particular website page, you can store those users and then do a retargeting campaign for that one. Okay, so for the self-service, it is very easy to top up your account with a credit card that you may have, or PayPal account if you're also using, as I have mentioned. And okay, so let's imagine we have a budget. We can now create creatives for our campaigns. Okay, so here on the left, we have a creative set menu. And then we can create a new one, and I will show you how actually the nicest part is how to do the rich medias. Let's say we have banners, we have natives, videos, all kind of carousel engagement and native videos as well. So let's create rich media. We can upload our JavaScript tag here or create rich media right away. Okay, let's, for example, there, as I mentioned, you already seen in the presentation, there are a couple of the templates that are already built in. So of course, those are slightly easier one. The most customized one, like drag and drop, and lots of the other ones that are more complicated, has to be created outside of the platform. So our team can always support you with developing those creatives. So let's try now creating one. We just need to have a certain size of the pictures, upload them in the platform, and then there's a few seconds and we have, in this case, a rotating banner right away, which could be used in your campaigns. Okay, how do you, sorry for pronouncing, Saraswat, how do you monitor the ads are appearing in the relevant sites? So that, for that part, we have a reporting part, which I will show you in a minute. There you can see all the inventory that was used for the campaign, all the inventory KPIs as well. And this helps you to track where your ads appear. Okay. Okay, Paras, can you export our user device and other details, those who have visited our client's website, and retarget such users on Facebook and other platforms? Yeah, so we can, first there's a workflow for that. So we can use a pixel and start collecting the audience from particular website for the retargeting audience. And then you can use those audiences through the programmatic channels. And yes, we have an option how to reach same users on Facebook, YouTube, and AdWords as well. So this is more complicated one project than the standard version, but yes, this is doable. Okay. Let's move on. So you save your creative, and then you're free to use in any of your campaigns that you have. So how I'm taking you through each step, which is essential when you are creating the campaign. So first we are adding the creative that we have, then we create the audiences. And there's lots of the ways how we do that. So answering the question about the interest base. So we here see the interest-based audience, and we have multiple of options how we can choose. Interest, app site retargeting, geolocation, we can upload our user list, and so on. All of that is available here. So let's start with the interest base. We are choosing the country where we're interested in, and then just selecting whatever we want. Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm missing something. So on the right, we should be seeing, let's think. On the right, we are seeing how the platform changes the reach of the interest audiences, you may see here. So it is helpful for your campaign planning because you can literally check the place here and have your reach included in your campaign. Any kind of, I think it is standard verticals that you have in other platforms as well. So I don't take much of the time here. I will go slightly to the other option, which is more unique. And we have app site retargeting. And for that part, yeah, we can select specific sites and apps and users who visit those apps and sites in a particular time. So this means that like from today till Thursday, we will be collecting audiences from, for example, yeah, from Wattpad, from Share, or whatever the like news sites, if we have some, and so on. So depending on what is needed, we can have that here. So this means that when you select a certain amount of the apps, you select the timing during what time do we want to collect those users visiting those particular websites, it starts being collected. So this means that that's why we say that it is intent-based audience, because if the users now are searching for particular item, like they're browsing on websites which has new devices, like phone launches, phone reviews, and all of that kind of information. So you can always be sure that those users now is searching for a particular device. So it's not just a historical fact. It means that now it's most relevant to give them some promotion with maybe device advertisement and so on. So you can always target the whole website or particular website page. If you have a page with different product models, you can always split those audiences into separate buckets and create a separate bucket with unique propositions per each. Okay, so this is this targeting should be used before you launch the campaign, and you have to do your homework and keep some time for collecting the audiences, because then it will be most relevant ones for you. So the next part is the geofence, which already have explained you slightly. And why it is nice to have is that, okay, let's go deeper, and we can how to use that. It is super easy. Hope you still see my screen. You can always start drawing particular area polygons, which will mean that you are collecting the data only from that particular location. And as I mentioned, you can target the users during the certain time, or you can collect them after they visited and already have left the time. So you do the homework as well, because you have to select the duration during which you are collecting those audiences, and then it starts running. So literally when you save the audience, it appears on your, we call it MIDI DMP. So you start owning the data, and it's been collected only in your account for you, so you can use in your campaigns. So in the DMP part, of course, you can see all the audiences that was collected through your previous campaigns. You can create your new ones and upload your first party list as well. So launching the campaign, on the left side menu, campaigns, you go directly into campaign navigation table. So as you can see now, we already have the Facebook, YouTube campaign. So depending on what you need, you just select which of the campaigns are needed. I will not go very too detailed in how to set up the campaign properly. We have Academy, Scheme Academy, and lots of the videos how to properly do that. And we can arrange a very detailed webinar with our AdApp team members, how to use this part in a best way. So this is just a quick look of all the features that could be available here. So any kind of targeting, any kind of features that you saw is available here. And I will also share with you some reporting, which is nice to see as well. Okay, so when we have a webinar only for the AdApps, we'll have to spend 1 hour or more only in the section. Okay, and I believe today we have mostly the business people, the customer, people who talks with the customer. So that's why it is most important to go through the reporting and track the KPIs of all the campaigns. Are they delivering? Are they efficient enough? Okay, so here we have, okay, we have a question. Okay, Paras, can we export it for future references as well? So there's, if you want to export your reportings, yes, of course you can do that. If you're asking about can you export device IDs for your future campaigns, well, it's not possible now in the standard version to do that. So literally it is one platform, and of course we tend to give you access whenever you need and use the audiences that you have collected. So it will be stored, it will not disappear. So you can reach your users anytime in the future whenever you need. Okay. Okay, let's check. There are some other questions. Oh yes, everybody started writing the questions. How are their interest-based cohorts created? Is it on the basis of the app user by user, or it is on the basis of the website visit behavior? Can you elaborate on that? How often they are updated? Okay, so well, whenever the users using website or app, the exchanges through the bid request, have their information, and then they passes to our DSP and DMP part. So it's been updated simultaneously, and the information is being updated like every hour or so. Okay. Gaurav, what technology do you use to know the geofence location of the audience? Is it only possible for mobile advertising and so on? Yeah, so the geofence is using the latitude, longitude that is being receiving from mostly the apps, because the app providers, when they connect to exchanges, they provide the coordinates as well. So yes, the locations mostly can be received from the mobile inventory, but this does not mean that you only limited to advertise only in mobile inventory, because when we identify the user location, we can reach them in multiple channels. So inventory at that part is not limited. Okay. Okay, I think I have answered all the questions that have appeared. Let's come back to the reporting part. And as you can see in the main video window, lots of the filters in order to identify which of the campaigns you want to track. You can export the campaigns with Excel sheet, PDF, or the full chat with the graphics. All the KPIs, depending on what kind of campaign do you run, is visible here. And of course, all the visualization is available to track and analyze the results of your campaigns, which of the browser works best, creative, which works best, and so on. And I remember there was a question about the inventory. So let me show you that as well. So you can always have the full list of the inventory where your ads appeared, and export the full list to check which of the inventory works best and so on. And there's lots of the other data that you can analyze, up to the gender and age exchanges and all the other parts. Okay, so let's go next to the nicest part. So we have a telco dashboard, which is unique, and none of the other platforms like DV360 or Trading Desk actually have that. So I'm quite proud to show you the capabilities, what is available, because we have been working with telco industry for years, and we have building this platform on basically customer requirements. And telco dashboard, of course, was one of them, like geofence. Some time ago, the client requested, and well, we have a very energetic tech team who is capable to create some unique, outstanding features in a very short time. So even comparing with other platforms, a Skimmy team from AdOps, tech, and account managers, sales, we are an energetic team who is trying to adapt and to each situation per each client needs very fast. So as I mentioned, telco dashboard is one of that, and it is very nice to see when we work with the telco industry, and I will share why it is not only related to the telco industry. First, what we can see is the market information. So when we are talking, like operator runs their own campaigns, they run that on their in-house data. And here we see the whole market data. And probably you may have a question, how can we see the whole market? So you remember those data points, how we collect information, those bid requests and all the other part. There's lots of the info comes from there. So we store, we analyze the data so we could display the whole market information in telco dashboard as example, okay? So we can identify, of course, I believe the DV360 and other platforms has the capability to identify the carrier. So of course we do that as well. Also, we can identify the mobile network, also mobile network via Wi-Fi. Also, there comes the unique part. SIM users, multi-SIM users, migrations, and all of that part. So why it is important? So there's lots of the use cases when we talk about the telco industry, and I must share with you that on Wednesday, our CEO, Vytas Paukštys, will be taking the webinar, and it will be dedicated only for telco industry features, because we could be talking about that part for hours, how to adapt per each use cases and so on. So just a quickly overview. And of course, please contact me if you want to talk more detail, how to adapt per your campaign per each case. And there's lots of the ways how we can do that. So multi-SIMs, it's always good to see and track, if the user is having a couple of the SIM cards, and okay, you're Airtel, and you know that your users, like 14 million users, also uses Geo. So this means that the second card is been using also for the data. So literally you can calculate how many of the data, how much of the money you are losing because your customers is using secondary SIM card, and so on. So there's lots of the variations how we can analyze this info and use into planning, and also adapting the message based on what we already know. So if you know that, for example, you're Airtel and you want to make your user who's using Geo or whatever as a secondary card, to make your card as a primary one. So all the spends would be happening only in your SIM card. You can always target with a specific maybe data promotions or whatever, better network quality or additional services, whatever it's needed to be done. So the next part, like migrations, so we can track when the user have left the network, so they became user of some other network. So we can track that those changes, and even see the balance, which is updated per each month. So we say that the migrated user, like it was using one network, then he left, he stopped using, and then start using another one. And if he have done that in 14 days, and we don't see that in the previous network anymore, so he have migrated. So literally the previous network have lost their client, and the second one have won. So therefore we can track the balance even through month, and see how the market is actually doing. And what we see, yeah, the Geo is winning each month their users. So those numbers which appears here in the dashboard, those are not just statistic, those are based on our DMP IDs. So this means that if we see like 1 million users that came, that like, for example, Airtel lost 4 million SIMs. So this means that they can run particular campaign on that audience and try to win them back. Okay, so the most important part in the telco dashboard, that is not just statistic kind of view, but it is connected, and you can activate your audiences through all the channels, programmatic socials channels as well, which we already discussed earlier. So I already have shared with you just that you can calculate your, that network can calculate the data losses, which of course can be easily transformed to the revenue losses and so on. So the other part, which is uniquely also developed by the data we store and analyze through time, as I mentioned, is the loyalty. So depending on what kind of users you're interested in, if the users has been using the same network for 6 months, so we can say that this is a loyal user. If he never went to anywhere else, so he's a loyal. Of course, you should be considering targeting with more loyalty campaigns, with loyalty promotions, and so on. And on the other hand, if you have some campaign you want to get your competitor users into your network, you can always target switchers, because they are the ones who is jumping between the networks, probably depending on who gets the best proposition there. Okay, so let's go further. Apart from the telco part, data, we have device data as well. So other platform has that as well. So quite familiar. The other part for the telco is network type. So depending on, like, most of the telcos now try to move their users from 2G to and 3G to the 4G networks. So it is always useful to see what is happening in the market and plan reaching those audiences according to those numbers as well. Okay, so device, let's go deeper into that part. Okay, as we already have seen, we can track which are the most popular device brands used per each network, because it is common to combine some promotions which could be related with a particular device brand. So as you can see in the chat, like, okay, Geo, there's a big part of the users is using Xiaomi. So those numbers, as you can see, you can literally run the campaign on those 22 million users with the specific promotion if you want, I don't know, transform them and promote them with a new Samsung coming up to the market. So let's go further. We can have a deeper analytics on the device models if that is needed, and include that into our planning, see the market, new trends, fast growing models, new devices spotted in the market. And also, as we scroll down the online information with device prices, I will tell you why it is important. Because when you know the device price, it's part of the whole data that is being included into, as I already have mentioned, social economical class algorithm. Okay, so this algorithm contains lots of the data. The biggest part is data consumption, connectivity type, locations, and of course the device pricing, because if the user is capable, for example, to buy a device who costs more than $800, he spends a lot of the data, consumes lots of the data, he's visited in the metro cities and so on. So probably he is the one who's capable to buy that, and he could be considered as a premium audience, or in this case, like audience 1, A1, and so on. So here we can see the social economical class per each network, which is helpful when you want to suggest a premium kind of services, maybe nowadays premium TV services, TV channels, or whatever that position there is. And one of the unique part that we also have displayed here is like early adopters, so device manufacturers who launches new devices, and they want to reach the ones who buys their device just right away they have been officially launched. So those are like the tech geeks who probably will be most relevant audience when you want to promote like pre-launch campaigns, limited editions, and so on. So we have also we have developed the capability to identify those niche but very specific audience as well. Okay. So let's go further. We already have spent a lot of the time. Yes, Gaurav. So the telco dashboard is updated every month because as I already have mentioned, there's some certain information who needs to be evaluated through the time. So every month, if you can see, you can choose month here, and because like migration has a certain time of the period when we say that yes, the user is migrated and so on. So it's been updated every month. I hope that I have answered your question. And yes, in the dashboard now you can see a sample of the data. As you may saw, there's yeah, so we can see 162 million in India, and I have mentioned that we can reach 400. So this is a sample data which I'm showing you, but it's the real data. So those transactions actually happened in that particular month. Okay, so let's move to the next part related to the inventory. So you always, whenever you have a question, what kind of inventory can we reach through the platform, you can always go to the tools and the traffic discovery. There are lots of the other features that when we'll have a more detailed AdOps training session, then they will, can explain all the things in detail. When we have more time. So here is just the top ones, which is relevant to the when we plan the campaigns and we need to prepare for the pitching of the to the client. So yeah, so traffic discovery gives you lots of the information regarding whatever it's needed to know about what sites, apps are being used, are there top inventory available on the market, also which of the sites and apps are been used mostly in the this time in the last 30 days and so on. So all of that, any connected platform is visible in there. You can go and check yourself and so on. Okay, so as mentioned, for the more detailed presentation, we should arrange another training session with our AdOps included, so we can answer all your questions, and if it is needed, we can have a training session only for your AdOps team members, how to use the platform. Okay, so you can see now on the screen that nice part which I already have shared with you. So my colleague, I believe, already shared the link. So I always advise you to check those creatives, play with them yourself, show to the client, because it is very nice to play around and see how engaging it could be and how nice it could be, attractive for your users and so on. So you could be outstanding out of the whole other advertising that is happening on the websites and apps that users are using. So please check, there are lots of variations. Also contact us if you have specific question like related to particular brand. We have lots of the others which are not included in this publicly shared gallery. So you have my contacts, you can always ping me and ask me for more ideas. And I always said, I would like one of the last things to share with you. We have a new website, so I encourage you to go there and check for more detail about it, the Skimmy. You can have that creative gallery visible here as well. So we are coming to the end, and let me share you some final slides, and we'll be finishing soon. Okay. So here are my contacts. I believe that somebody who doesn't have yet, please contact me if you have any questions related to the platform. You want to have a trial, you want to have a dedicated training session for your team members, you can always contact me. And the next steps. So first, I will share with you the link to the certificate, to the test where you can, after going through the test, you can get your certificate, which covers the primary level, then I highly advise you to share. It will be nice to see that certificate sharing on the social network. And also I encourage you then to register for advanced level certificate, which will be more detailed, more complicated, because you'll need to go through much more training how to use programmatic in a more detailed, more advanced level. Okay. And the last thing, I know that it is tough time now to work in with the programmatic, especially when lots of restrictions in the market due to the COVID situation. Lots of the brands are not spending at all. So we know that. We understand the pain that you are feeling. So we always are here to help you, also to support you when you need to be flexible enough and adaptive enough. So I encourage you to plan and start thinking about the future, what will be after all the lockdown will finish. And from a Skimmia team, we encourage you to spend on the programmatic, and we want to support your business. So one of the way how we can support your business is giving you the platform free of charge for the 6 upcoming months. Because we understand that the COVID situation will have the impact to the market and the revenues after it will be ended as well. So no platform fee for 6 months from now on, just your media buying spends, and that's it. So I hope this will be useful and supportive of your business. And well, your customers will continue spending on the programmatic networks, expanding the brand awareness, reaching the users, and not going totally blank even under this difficult time. Because depending on what is the situation, how their situation has been visible by different brands, somebody tends not to advertise at all, somebody uses the situation in their own advantages and so on. So depending on what the business you are at, you can always contact us so we can discuss how to make programmatic working for you. Okay, and now the last part is the basic programmatic test. I encourage you, my colleague will share the link in the chat, and I encourage you to take this test right after this webinar. We will close the webinar. The test will take 25 minutes to end. So please take your time and do the test, and contact us afterwards. How did you succeeded? You will receive a certificate. So when you registered, you provided your email address. We will send the presentation there as well. And of course, the certificates are finished the test. So thank you for joining. If you have any of the questions that are left not answers, please let me know. And I hope that it was useful, and we will be talking on another webinar for more detailed conversations, how to use programmatic working for you and for your brands in a most effective way. Okay, do we have more questions, or you're ready to go for a test? Ready to go for the test? Yes, John, I see that you're raising the hand. Hello, can you hear us? We can't hear you. Okay, let me see. So does anybody has a question? Please raise your hand so we can unmute you so you could answer. So you can ask. John, you had a question, if I understood correctly? No. Okay, so if nobody has any questions, I would like just to wish you a good luck. Oh yeah, Sujan, how can I learn advanced programmatic certificate through the Scheme? So first is to finish the current one, which will be covering the basic part. And then you will receive, after you finish it, you will receive an email with the next step, next reading material, video material, and the link where you can register for the advanced certificate and do the test to earn that next level certificate as well. So you will receive that through the email. I hope that you provided a correct emails on your registration. If not, just quickly type here or send me to my email, and then we will definitely invite you. If anybody has more questions, please do that now, because we'll be ending in a minute. Okay, no questions. So thank you for the time. I hope it was useful, and please try to do the test, get your certificate, first level certificate. So it will be the start of your journey, going deeper and deeper, getting more knowledge in programmatic, and contact us if you have any more questions. Thank you. Have a nice evening.